Hello, my name is Justin Vogel. I am the Chief Negotiator for SJEA. The bargaining team is the team that I lead, and we represent approximately 3,000 instructional personnel in St. Johns County School District. We have tentatively agreed to a compensation package for the current year that we're in. So what we're about to cover in this presentation, should it ratify, you would eventually see back pay to July 1st, 2021. I'd like to thank the team that I just mentioned. They're made up of fellow teachers. I am a teacher in the district, as well as other team members, Sally Cunningham, Chad Razy, Jennifer Jurek, Jess Bishada, Morgan Mousley. We also have on the team Michelle Dillon, the SJEA president, and Tammy Whitaker, the director of the Northeast Florida Service Unit. I want to thank these team members for their hard work and dedication. They are truly wonderful at what they do. Here's what to expect in this presentation. We'll do an overview of the raises to salary. We were able to negotiate raises, not bonuses. That's a major accomplishment. We'll discuss how the teacher salary increase allocation affects compensation, and we will also discuss the 27.5% increase to supplements that affects coaches and club sponsors and department chairs. We will also do at the end a little comparison to other districts and how they were able to, what they were able to do at the negotiating table. We knew after round one of the teacher salary increase allocation last year that attempted to raise the base salary for a starting teacher to $47,500. We were able to get to $45,535, but we knew that this year we needed to emphasize years of service and experience. And so we were able to do that with some limitations. If there's a break in service, for example, that would change your hire date and thus possibly change your what raise you're eligible for. We also negotiated performance pay that is outlined in statute. It has certain limitations as well, different percentages for grandfathered, effective, and highly effective. I also put together some myths versus facts just based on input that the team has received. Okay, I do want to emphasize that this is before the performance pay section, so this is not the whole raise. We will move instructional personnel to $47,500 if you are not there yet. If you are close to it, like within $1,500, then your minimum adjustment will be $1,500. If you have a performance evaluation from last year, you are also eligible for performance pay added to salary. So based on your hire date, you can see the different eligibilities there. There is a sort of a caveat here. If you have a break in service, which is defined as retired, resigned, or terminated, then you have to go with your most recent hire date. So the different adjustments to base salary are going to benefit those that have been in St. Johns County continuously for the most amount of time. Associate teachers are going to have a new base salary of $35,000. They are also still eligible for performance pay. So it's important to note that performance pay is outlined in law. We negotiate the amounts, but the ratios are set by law. For example, grandfathered cannot be more than an annual contract effective, and an annual contract effective has to be between 50% and 75% of the annual contract highly effective. So we have some stipulations to work through every year, but we are able to negotiate performance pay this year in addition to the salary adjustment. Last year there was no performance pay because there was no performance evaluations the year prior. So this year we were able to negotiate these amounts in addition to the adjustments on the previous slide. So if somebody who is brand new is going to be moved to $47,500, but if you have a performance evaluation from last year, then your range is going to be somewhere between $2,184 and $3,423. The median salary in our district currently is $45,685. So about 6% of that is about $2,700, and that is right around our most occurring raise this year. So you could be a little more than that or a little under that depending on your years of service and your performance pay category. All right, there's a large group, about 1,300, being moved to 47,500. But we're going to look at a couple of examples here for veterans or more experienced teachers, where it gets a little bit, you have to do a little bit more math. So example one is a 10-year veteran and example two is a 20-year veteran. These both assume no break in service, and you can see what the combinations would add up to. Remember, this is a raise to salary, not a bonus. In example two, PSC stands for Professional Service Contract. This is someone who wanted to retain their tenure prior to the law in 2011 that eliminated professional service contracts. There are a few tables in the contract in Article 16. One of them still matters. The others are for historical purposes. The only one that matters is the placement schedule. We don't have steps anymore, and we haven't in years. The performance pay model passed by law in 2011. We transferred to that within the next couple of years as outlined by the law. We eliminated steps and we went with the formula that we negotiate the amounts for every year. So you don't move up a step system, you don't move up the placement schedule. It is only used one time. When you're hired, the district looks at your number of years of service that they can give you credit for, and they place you on a salary. That's it. It's the only time it's used, one time for an employee when they're first hired. Then you get the negotiated raise every year after that. So you don't move up the placement schedule. In Flagler, I've got a lot of questions about Flagler recently. It depends on who you are that Flagler's placement schedule might benefit you. If you're looking at, let's say you're moving to Florida and you're looking at St. Johns County versus Flagler County and you have 25 years experience, you might want to look at Flagler because at that point in the placement schedule, it benefits you to look there. But at the 10-year mark, for example, a 10-year St. Johns County teacher that has been here for 10 years, that has gotten mostly highly effective raises, is going to be making more than going to Flagler with their 10 years of experience. So if we ratify this agreement. So you have to look at it. It depends on who you are, and it depends on your situation. If you've been here in this county for all of that time, there's not going to be a drastic difference. There's been a lot of talk about inflation lately. Inflation, year-over-year inflation especially, might be a talking point in negotiations, but that's really all it is. We don't tie our pay raises to inflation, just like we don't take a pay cut when the price of gas goes back down. So it's a talking point at best. We certainly look at trends over time, but year-over-year inflation, although we all feel the same pain, is not the best argument for a raise. Property taxes are actually kind of complicated in the Florida Education Finance Program. You have to realize that not all counties, not all districts have the same level of taxing authority. For example, the Florida Virtual School is a district in our state with no taxing authority, so they're fully reliant on state funds. Whereas a typical county like ours is reliant on state funds and a required local effort, and that comes from property taxes through something called millage. Well, that actually gets distributed so that some districts that have very low property taxes will get more state funds, and districts with higher property taxes will get, it'll be a different ratio of state funds to local funds. So I just want to point out that it's not a direct line from property tax to the district and then negotiable money. That's not, it's much more complicated than that. In legislative session 2020, House Bill 641, known as the Teacher Salary Increase Allocation, or TSIA, provided $500 million statewide to move the starting teacher salary to $47,500. We were able to get to $45,535. A lot of districts were not able to get to $47,500. We were at $39,000, and we were able to move to $45,535. Like most counties in our situation, of our size and our starting salary at around 39. Now, since then, the state did provide more money to get to 47.5, and we are able to do it this year. Again, just like most counties that are in our situation. Some districts were already over 47.5, some are yet to get there. but most are getting there this year. But the result of this legislation is bottom-up compression. Intentionally, I would argue, leaving out experienced teachers and non-classroom instructional personnel. When they give you this money, it's not without stipulation. 80% of it, this is the 80-20 rule, 80% of it has to be used to get the starting teacher salary to $47,500. So that's why you saw big increases to less experienced teachers last year, and nominal increases to experienced teachers, because we were only working with 20% of the money for those experienced teachers, and we have to include the non-classroom instructional personnel there too, because otherwise we're going to have massive inequity within our own instructional unit. At one point, 44% of our instructional personnel had the same salary, and that was $45,535. That's gone down just a couple of percentage points now with new hires and retirements, but it's still over 40%. After the Student Success Act in 2011 passed, districts had a couple of years to transition to the performance pay model, and that's the formula that I've referenced probably a couple of times now. The formula allows us to put people in categories: grandfathered, performance effective, or performance highly effective. Again, no more steps. The raise is negotiated every year. Steps used to be about $500 a year. $500 a year. There were some later in a person's career that were much bigger, but typically the steps were around $500. Here you see an example of somebody who's been highly effective for the last several years. That would have been their raise. The TSIA year was a little bit different. We didn't have performance evaluations. We were able to negotiate a $1,000 salary bump for everybody not affected by the TSIA, so that would be everybody over $47,500 already, and then a one-time $600 payment. So not counting that into the approximately $9,000, but that is the best scenario over the last several years. But that's pretty decent, and I just want to clear up that it's negotiated every single year. We don't have steps. All we have is a placement schedule, and then we go from there. You get raises based on the category that you're in. All right, supplements for coaches and club sponsors and department chairs are outlined in Article 17. We were able to negotiate a 27.5% increase to the value of a point. The points are then multiplied by factors. These factors are reviewed by the supplement committee every so often. So for example, a 10-point supplement, this would be maybe a tennis or golf coach, something like that, worth $196 per point would now be worth $250 per point. So you can see the adjustment there from $1,960 to $2,500. So if you change the value of a point, then the trickle effect in the formula is obvious. The advanced degrees, we were able to negotiate a 3% increase, so master's pay will go from $2,650 to $2,730, and specialist and PhDs will be included in that increase. So there was just a caveat here. If you had your advanced degree prior to 2011, again, the Student Success Act of 2011 changed all this, your advanced degree was already in your pay. There was a different pay schedule or pay scale for you. So this includes everyone. We were able to negotiate everybody, including those that are not receiving their advanced degree payment as a supplement. So it is totally inclusive and a pretty decent raise. Now you might be wondering why 3% versus 27.5%. Our advanced degree supplements are in line with similar counties to us. We were starting to fall behind in supplements in Article 17, so we addressed that. All right, here's a snapshot of around the state. Not everyone is settled. Many have, but a couple districts are at impasse, and many have not settled. But we looked at the ones that have settled, and we have a little snapshot here. The reason that we're a comparison is in the second column. Anytime we look at other counties, we have to look at them for a reason. Our county operates nothing like a very small county that has one school of each level. And there are many of those in Florida, but we can't really compare ourselves to them. nor can we compare ourselves to Hillsborough County, which is in the top 10 as far as size in the nation. So here's how we stack up to some of the other counties. The only numbers that come close to the numbers we were able to negotiate were done so in bonus. So for Clay, when I say most in bonus, it's because if there was a difference between a person's salary and 47,500, then it was added to salary and the remainder was paid in a bonus. If you were already over 47,500, then all 3,000 was a bonus. We were able to avoid bonuses and add to our base pay. That was important to us and to our members to avoid the trap of a bonus. Bonus is one-time payment. That is it. It is not recurring. So the two districts that were able to get to 3,000 did not add to salary. You can see, take a look and pause here if you want to look at the other districts that we compare to and the reason that we compare to them. One of two reasons. They either have a similar FTE to us, number of students, or they share a border with us. What took so long? There was two reasons, really. The impact of the TSIA is one reason. Districts were very hesitant to get to the table and incur new recurring costs. So if you notice, the districts that settled early settled for bonuses pretty typically. And we felt like we wanted to emphasize raises to salary. The other reason it took so long is that it's a full book year, which means the entire contract is being negotiated. Understandably, a lot of people follow the compensation part, but we've been negotiating evaluations, we've been negotiating St. John's Virtual School, we've been negotiating leave provisions, all kinds of things. And so that's the two reasons why it took so long are those two. School recognition funds, there's been some question about whether they were going to be issued this year. This will be A school money or SRF funds. It looks like they are going to be. There's some confusion over when that might pay, but your school is probably voting through the SAC committee on how to distribute that money. Differentiated pay is a pot of money that has it's been $500,000 in the past. We were able to negotiate doubling it to $1 million. That allows the differentiated pay committee, which is made up of teachers and district personnel, to identify high need areas, some of the upper level maths, for example, chemistry, some of the ESE positions. These are hard to fill and therefore they get differentiated pay. So it's outlined in statute and codified in the agreement, the contract, and it's paid out based on the committee's decisions. So what that means is that people getting differentiated pay could get anywhere between $500 or $600 and $1,000 depending on their share. Ratification process, it's going to take some time. We are almost done. I'm making this video, an update to this video in April, and we have another session April 21st that we hope to wrap up the negotiations for the year and get this out for ratification. So hopefully ratifying by May or early May, and then we can start working on getting back pay to everybody. All right, so thanks for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions, please reach out to Michelle, is probably the best point of contact, Michelle Dillon. And if she needs to, she can reach out to the bargaining team for answers. If you have questions for us, you can email us directly as well. Thanks for listening.